Welcome to the CW3 Confidence, Women, Wealth, and Wellness episode, part 2 of Robert Schein's 7 Keys. He's with Blanke Schein Wealth Management. He's joining me today to share his 7 keys, the last 4 here. And so welcome, Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Bronwyn. And to everyone out there, thank you for such a wonderful following. I think we're getting a lot of wonderful just reviews, and more importantly, they're asking for more content. So we ask that you share this, you follow, you like, and we got some special stuff for you too.
That's right. So I'm just going to go over your 7 keys briefly here. In the first episode, we talked about mindset, being open to growth and furthering your education, and the art of negotiation. And in this episode, we'll talk more about planning, we'll talk about family, and network of advice, and of course, self-care. So with that being said, Rob, let's jump right into it and talk right about planning and how people should be planning for the future of their wealth.
Yeah, so Bronwyn, thanks again. Let's take a step real quick back. If you're joining us for the first time, my job is a financial advisor. I own a wealth management practice, and over my 20-year career, I've had the luxury and the ability to serve those who have all the retirees, if you will. From starting out with nothing to having stuff, and now they're being the biggest philanthropists of the Coachella Valley here and across the United States. And what I've taken away from that is 7 specific keys. One is the mindset, having a strong mindset, always feeding yourself with positive thoughts and always seeking positive thoughts that really keep you, moving forward and always, being mindful of the past, but being strong about, what's ahead and having a positive outlook, open to growth, lifelong learner. That's a key element. So it doesn't matter if you're 95 years old or, 9 years old, always be open to growth. The art of negotiations, from your first salary ever to, waking up every morning and wrestling with the alarm clock and saying, should I do, my daily routine, which is, my taking care of myself from, health and wellness standpoint, as well as doing the things that I need to do, just to provide for the family. And then now we're going to get to, today we're going to talk about the next 4 of the 7. One is planning. And in my financial planning practice, if you will, every one of our clients has a financial plan, and it's a living, breathing document of their current situation in life, their goals, and their feelings. And that's a reflection then into how we invest, which is, in their world, their assets, their asset allocation. And that's just sort of what we do on our daily basis for our clients. But taking a step back to the plan, if you go to neuroscience, if you go to, seasons, if you go back to the Bible, there's 90 days. Humans are programmed for every 90 days. If you go to the cycles and business cycle, it's a 90-day quarter cycle. So what we like to do is plan on a quarterly basis for next 90 days. Because if you say, gosh, in the next year, 2 years, and 3 years down the road, where I want to be, writing goals down and having a plan for that is a wonderful thing to do. But keep in mind that, you can make small incremental day-by-day progress by having a 90-day goal. And so what we like to say is, plan for the next 90-day. Eleanor Roosevelt said that it takes more energy to wish than it actually does to actually plan. So take some time now. We all have a little extra time and say, hey, what does the next 90 days look like? Both from my wealth standpoint, you want to reduce debt, or you have stress on yourself, you look into the programs that are available for you to help sort of get you back on your feet and get you back in the working environment. We're all going through something financially speaking. And just keep that in mind. But ultimately, you're in charge of you, so take charge there, as well as your wellness routine. Have a plan for that. Bronwyn's got a wonderful, program, that you can tune in as it relates to just your wellness, and she has a very specific process as it relates to yoga, and you can do that from your home. I mean, there's different ways of attacking this, but having the plan in place, not only for your finances, but for your health, and creating striving for that true balance, working for that balance is really key. And that's the 4th key element, which is a plan.
Yeah, I think you definitely nailed it, Rob, when you say about balance. And it is about finding balance, and not just with everything that's going on, but just overall balance in your life. And so planning, I'm always kind of taken back by people who don't plan in a certain way. So I kind of think to myself, where are you navigating from and where are you going to? So to get a plan definitely will give people some proper direction, but definitely for their financial wellness. Now, when it comes to family, which is your fifth key, Rob, I know that you are very devout about your family. You have a really strong family, beautiful wife, children, and dogs, all the stuff, right? That a family is made of. And
that's why I'm at work.
But you do, you are a perfect example of having a really solid family. But can you go a little bit deeper into that and how having your family and having such strong roots with your family, how can you share better that other people can achieve that as well?
Yeah, so, in the definition that we use in this key here as it relates to family is, it's not just those that are blood related or married into family specific. I mean, family could be, best friends. Family could be, adopted, friends from or parents and grandparents. I mean, your family is really who you let in. And that's another key later that I'll talk about, sort of your network of advice. All these keys are sort of interconnected. But ultimately, family is one of those things where, if you look at the wealth aspect or just even money, right, that comes into it. If we look at, the wellness aspect, that comes into it. You want to be there, financially speaking, for friends or family that need it, parents or children, as we're going through, times that are tough right now. So you have to make certain that you're taking care of yourself as you go through this. But, ultimately, Bronwyn, we're definitely far from even close to perfect. And I, as a father, I will tell you, I think I'm failing miserably on a kitchen table on a nightly basis in quarantine, because I'm desperately trying to relate to my kids and desperately trying to let them know that, here are the things you guys need to, learn and absorb, or here are the health aspects and wellness aspects that are so important, and here's why. But at the same time, I've got a house full of teenagers, and I'm dad, and so that's why I do these video broadcasts, because maybe if I can give that same advice to somebody out there and they'll listen, but definitely not in my own house. So I don't know if you have the key. I definitely don't have the key. We're working through this, but I will say I think the key takeaway there is just constant work. Just be dedicated, and it's not easy. In times like this, it's even more tough, if you will. And I say a lot of I'm sorry's, and I apologize a lot. I feel like I'm doing that more and more, but we'll get through this. But I think the family takeaway is that we all have a mission and a shared value system. I think that's key. And we very specific on those values, and we communicate that we're on the same page. And also, we also have a communication process. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and I don't watch the Kardashians. But I will tell you, it's on from time to time in my household of teenage daughters. And I was watching an episode with one of my daughters, and I was really impressed with the communication style. Meaning, I don't know which one it was, Chloe or Kaylee or whomever. Probably not right.
I don't know their names either. I know
okay.
That's terrible.
But the take-home point here is that they were communicating in a fair, balanced, mature, just framework. They had very specific differences. In fact, some of the dialogue that they were throwing back and forth was very inflammatory. It was very pointed. It was very accusatory. So that's normal, right? We're all human. We all get upset. We all, especially with siblings, you always have that fight. That's normal and natural. But I think the framework there was so interesting to, obviously because they grew up in front of the cameras, and obviously you can't really have knockdown, drag out fights like all of us maybe in our households because there aren't cameras on us. But I think that framework has served them well over the course of 10, 15 years of growing up right in front of us. So I'd liken that with, listen, there is a communication style that is healthy. There is something where, again, they work towards that. So whether it's not perfect, no one's perfect, but you have to be committed, have sort of strong sense of values, be on the same page, and then work towards that communication style.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, Rob, raising teenagers, so they can have their moments of some drag out fights. And then 10 minutes later, I look and they're hugging and loving on each other. And I thought you didn't like each other.
Right.
So I can totally relate to that. But yes, and I like how you mentioned the framework. I think if you have that, the values there, it eventually all comes together. So yeah, that's some really, really good, helpful suggestions. So you talked about, with family, now your network of advice, and they kind of intertwine with one another when you're saying it may not be family, but it's whomever you're letting in. Network advice is also probably going to be that of someone you really trust.
Yeah, so the network of advice is, Jim Rohn, who, was a great motivational speaker that I followed for many, many years. He had a lot of great sayings, and a lot of great messages for us. One of those that I basically just love and adore, I really think it's true, and the older I get, the more true it becomes throughout the years, is, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, outside your family, if you will, or including your family. And so if you have positive influences or people that bring you up, or negative influences and people that pull you down, you really have to just be work through your relationships, and make certain that they're constantly being supportive of you, and you're giving as much as you're getting from that relationship. It's mutually beneficial. And if not, it's okay to move on. It's not that you're not friends. It just means that you're spending more time with those that should be sort of in your network. And then shifting gears from a professional setting, a network of advice. Again, I'm a financial advisor. So, in the times like these, you want to have, from a financial or wealth building standpoint, those that have been most successful. Again, that's where I get my keys from, that I've served for all those years, my clients, if you will. They've have a very strong network of advice. So as an example, you have your financial advisor, you have your estate planning attorney, you have your CPA, and you have all your other business team that works together. What I like to say is they play well in the sandbox together. So not one or the other is jockeying for position. They're working on the same page, in a unified fashion, to help serve your financial needs. And the quicker you find that team, if you will, in your wealth building team, and you might not think I have anything to manage, you actually do. Seek those that are willing to help you in the financial world, that are, fiduciaries, if you will, that they're legally obligated to help you and give you the best financial advice, not sell you anything. But that's on the network of advice from a professional standpoint, but just even in your, back to our kids, our teenagers, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So make certain that network of advice, or people that you hang out with, are true to you.
Yes, and that is really good. I've worked with a lot of coaches and motivational teachers and speakers over the years. And one thing, and it very much relates to what you're saying, I had one coach who said to me, align yourself with the people you want to be aligned with. And it goes back to the same thing that you're saying, play nicely in the sandbox, get your 5 people. But I've always recognized, once you start aligning with yourself with the people that that you can prosper and grow with, then you're all working in harmony together, and you're working together, not against one another. And I think that goes back to playing nice in the sandbox, and just having the right alignment of people around you that that you can grow with. So now we'll go to self-care, which is something I'm very, very familiar with, but I would love to hear what you have to say about self-care, Rob.
Yeah, so before I turn the tables and ask you about self-care, again, we're all striving for and creating balance in the world of wealth and wellness. And ultimately, again, going through my daily news feed, if you will, I was able to pick off this most recent study that was done by Yale and Oxford researchers. And let me just read this to you, Bronwyn. Exercise is more important for your mental health than money, right? We're going through a lot of tough times right now. And that weighs on our health. There's a lot of stress, financially speaking, that weighs on our mental health. Well, the new research that just came out and produced by Yale and Oxford, essentially the take-home point is, think about this. Out of 365 days, when this is what we're talking about, in a calendar year, 365 days, we always have good days and bad days, right? We're human. That's the way human nature works. And you physically have a good day and you physically have a bad day. They say on average, a normal person that exercises and that gets out there and essentially that, is in tune to sort of making those positive, healthy steps towards wellness, have about 50% less bad days. So their research says out of 365 days, about 35 of those days are going to be negative, if you will. You're just not going to have, it's okay to say, I'm just having a bad day, but tomorrow's going to be a better day, from your health and wellness standpoint. And mentally, with a mindset, have that conversation with yourself, because then you're not going to continue to compound that effect and say, oh, wait a minute, it's always going to be like this, or I'm never going to, always never are horrible words, so get them out. But just get towards the, 10%, if you will. You're just going to have bad days. And that's if you're constantly being in motion and constantly taking care of yourself. Now, conversely, the study actually shows that you have a 50% increase, meaning like you're going to 15 or 16% of your days out of the 365 days of just being more and more feeling bad. You have bad days. So get out there, exercise, art of self-care, if you will. And there's a huge wellness component, especially now, Bronwyn. And now that we're at home, Bronwyn, there's, we're negotiating with ourselves, if you will, to work out, or how to work out, or what do we do? We're negotiating with ourselves. I need to practice social distancing personally from the refrigerator. Because I just don't want to get the Corona 15, I think is going around.
Yeah, that's good, Rob. That's
good.
So
so I don't know, Bronwyn, what can we do?
Well, it's interesting because I am doing my classes, Rob, by Zoom Monday through Friday. And I realized that had I not taken the initiative, even going back to your 7 keys and putting myself out there and making myself available for my current clientele, that if I wasn't coming to the mat for them, I'm not quite sure I would make it to my yoga mat for myself, to be very honest. So each day that I'm with them, Monday through Friday, I always thank them, not only for the support that they're giving me, but also, thank you for bringing me to the mat, because I'm able to practice because it's not an obligation, but it is a responsibility of mine to show up for them, but I also get to show up. So it goes back to your planning, right? It's something that you need to plan. So, plan even a workout. I mean, you've got all day, but a lot of us are working from home, but you still can plan it a lot easier. And now, get the family involved. And I know that a lot of you were doing that with your family, and, or you're probably still doing some sort of workout. I'm making sure that I'm getting my daughters out on a walk. We've not ventured into Palm Desert since all of this happened, if you can believe that, but they have closed the trails here in La Quinta. But I am making sure today, I think we're going to play Frisbee, which I've not played in a very long time. So I think we're going to play Frisbee. I'm kind of going back to old school. We did play Monopoly yesterday. Anything that's kind of stimulating the mind in a different way. We're on spring break right now, but I did get some information. So to answer your question, and this actually came from California.gov or cal.gov, and it was talking about managing stress for your health, because I did have a conversation with Dr. Sally Diane, who was on my wellness panel for the summit, and we had a really good conversation the other day, and I mentioned to her, she said, how are you feeling? And I said, to be honest with you, I said, of course I'm stressed. All right, this is stressful. And I said the uncertainty makes it even more stressful. So I think a lot of people, she said this is a common theme that she is hearing. The uncertainty is also making people depressed and even filled more with anxiety. So I would say step away from the news a little bit more. I noticed that once I stepped away from the broadcast, I get an update in the morning, and maybe I'll check in at the end of the day to see if there's any changes, but they're really saying the same thing all day long. And when you keep feeding your minds with that, all you're doing is filling the anxiety, and you can't do anything about it. Except the social distancing, washing your hands, and so on. So they talked about having supportive relationships, that of engaging in exercise up to 60 minutes a day, getting plenty of sleep, making sure that you're eating properly. There are sources for mental health support. And then they did mention to have some sort of mindfulness practice, that of meditation, prayer, or yoga. So I loved actually seeing that they were mentioning those modalities that people could implement into their life. And, people say, how do I meditate? Or I've never done yoga. Well, this is the perfect time to try, right? So
That's great.
nothing ventured, nothing gained. So those are some of the resources that I've been pulling just to kind of, help my community on helping to stay not only well physically, but also mentally. Because I know a lot of people are alone right now too.
That's true. So, one of our missions here is to feel that you're connected with our community. And Bronwyn, you didn't ask, but one of the things that we did, speaking of old school, is I ordered dodgeballs. And so we got dodgeballs in the Schein household, and we've been playing, and it's been a hoot. So hopefully we stay safe with that, but we're having fun in the meantime, at least getting some exercise.
Yeah, that'll keep you running around without a doubt. But yeah, we definitely want to encourage people to visit the CW3 confidencesummit.com website. You can have free access to the summit that we had in January 2020. It's going to give you access to all of the panels, your 7 keys in more depth, Rob, and also the keynote speaker, Barb Stegman. So thank you so much, Rob, for your 7 keys to financial wellness today. This has been really, really helpful. I'm hoping that everybody makes sure that they see both of these episodes, and wishing everybody good health and to stay safe.
Thanks, Bronwyn, and God bless everybody.